Good afternoon. Today we'll be talking about, this is our Project Light series. By the way, my name is Allison. I've been in the fitness and wellness industry for 14 plus years. I'm a yoga instructor. I absolutely adore and love meditation and went to grad school for it. And I've had a lot of experience personal training and coaching people both in person and online. And my passion is to help people make the changes that they really want to make, but to do it from the inside out, from a place of compassion and deep awareness, so that whatever changes you make, you can take and weave into the rest of your life. So it's not just a quick fix that you're seeking out, or that you're not participating in that quick fix, cookie cutter fitness package sort of lifestyle anymore, or kind of chasing the 10 pounds and chasing another 10 pounds because you gain it back. You're not in that yo-yo train, but rather you're finding a way of life that really suits you and that you can integrate a compassionate mindset into your entire life, so that it's not a question of whether or not you choose to take care of yourself, and it's not a question of whether or not you choose to nourish your body in the best way possible, and you no longer feel these waves of guilt when you indulge, or severe restriction, like you're feeling like you're leaving yourself out from social fun when you choose to adhere to some sort of meal plan. I don't want any of that for you. What I want for you and for the people that I have the honor of working with is to have a lifestyle that they love, and to have a body that they love, to really embody compassion, awareness, deep unconditional love for the bag of bones that you get to live in, as they say in some traditions, but to really develop an appreciation, so that every choice you make is about deciding how to treat yourself with more and more care, so that it's this back and forth of loving your body and loving who you get to be in this body, and also, because you have that love, because you have that compassion, treating yourself with the dignity and the patience and the grace and the gentleness and the tough love that you need in different moments of different days. So thank you for being here. Today in particular, I'm just going to be really honest with you and talk about they're uncommon strategies, but they help me to lose 25 pounds and keep it off. And I think what's hard is, I could still be a personal trainer, or I was a Beachbody coach for a while. I could still be doing that. But what I kept running into in those particular, side streets or avenues of my profession, is that I felt like I was always working with people who they wanted to fix right here, right now. And they were willing to they were aware of certain changes that they could make, but didn't always want to address the hard stuff. So my deep hope with this Project Light series is to shed light on the things that we're missing, the things that we're keeping in the dark, or the things that we've bought into because of our mainstream media, or the culture of weight loss, of the fitness industry. And it's a huge, $1 billion industry. And I feel like if we can get out of that mode of lack and of fear, that we can step into something much greater and much more lasting and kind. And if we can treat ourselves with more compassion, there is no question that this world would be a lighter, brighter, more mindful place, because people who are hurt tend to hurt other people, right? So if we're always cutting ourselves down, if we're always saying, how did I get so fat? I remember looking at myself in the mirror in college when I registered for some swimming class, and I tried a swimsuit on, and I thought, how did I let it get this bad? How did I let this happen? And that negative self-talk, I'll tell you, I gained more weight after feeling that way. I dropped out of that swim class too. But if we can get out of this road of talking to ourselves like that, and instead say, damn, you are a strong, beautiful woman who is deserving of so much more than this negative self-talk, these self-limiting beliefs, and these self-sabotaging patterns. And we need to we need to rise up out of that through awareness and compassion, and that's what I would love to talk about today. Hi, Isabella. You say, yes, this is me. I just want to lose weight so badly. Yeah. And I think that when we're in that place, like when we really want something, it's easy to just like our focus becomes so narrow that we start to miss like, but even if I lost the weight, would I still have these negative self-talk tapes playing in my head? Probably, if we're not dealing with that part of our mindset. So it's hard because when we want something, when our desire is so deep and so great, sometimes we can lose track of the journey and the path that we could take to get there, and then to be able to stay there, to be able to lose the weight and keep it off. That was also, I feel like that's one of the toughest truths about both personal training and working within Beachbody is people can make huge transformations, huge transitions from one way of life to another, from feeling really heavy, really weighed down, really puffy in your skin, to feeling really fit and good. But if you're doing something that you can't keep up, that like drains you in some way, maybe drains your energy. I know that when I did one particular program, I think I had an adrenal crash, and I didn't have awareness of that at the time. I didn't recognize that at the time. But there was no way I was going to keep up that workout forever. So the 3 mindset shifts, not only mindset shifts, they're just kind of uncommon things that we don't always talk about, because these aren't quick fixes. So if you're looking for a quick fix, I'm not your girl. If you're looking for lasting transformation, then please stick around. The first shift that I made, it's a level of awareness, and by awareness I mean I had always been really active. Like I taught fitness classes for a living, and I personal trained people for a living. I walked everywhere, biked everywhere. I didn't own my own car until this year. But I wasn't willing to look at my relationship with food. And I have empathy, deep empathy for people who have eating disorders, but I've never been able to have that idea of like, how could you starve yourself? Like, I like food too much. That was hard for me to understand. I didn't understand how a person could throw up after their meals, because I thought throwing up was just so hard and gross, and like I've only done that when I'm sick. But I do think that I had this relationship where on the weekends, I would go out with my friends, I would eat food that I wouldn't like want my body to have during the week, and then I would try to make up for it with exercise. So that it's a whole nother kind of binging and purging thing. And I also look to food for everything, for celebration, probably for comfort, although I try to push those feelings away, like sadness away. I would back off from food when I felt really angry. Like I had this really interesting relationship with food that I didn't realize until I kind of stumbled into getting the courage to look at that. So I think that is one of the very first steps. And what helped me tremendously was I actually created a meal plan that I wanted to follow for 7 days, and I shared it with a group of 50 people as well. And I wanted the meal plan to just be about a couple things, about having a 12-hour window between dinner and breakfast. And it's not just that that's amazing for your body, like for physical reasons, but it also starts to make you look at like, when it's late at night and I want to just go into the kitchen for that last cookie or that last bowl of popcorn or bag of chips or whatever it would be, even if it's like fruit, but like, what is that pattern? And why do I feel like this is so necessary? So the 12-hour window was one thing that I did within that this eating program. Another thing was to not limit portions, actually, but to slowly remove animal protein, just because it does help to kind of clear your system. And it makes people like lose their shit when they can't have cheese or animal products, because we have been so trained to think like, I need protein. Like protein is the way you lose weight. Carbs are the enemy. I don't know how we feel about fat anymore. That like good fat, good carb, bad carb, and protein is the one thing that's okay. And I think that it's a huge misconception for a whole nother talk and topic. But every body type is so different that there's no way I would ever tell you to adhere to a very specific like keto or paleo, or there's no way veganism. Because every body type is so different. I think that's such an individual thing. But when you try to add more things like more greens to your diet and try to remove more processed foods or just any particular kind of food, you start to see your relationship with it. So it's not, I still eat cheese. I was a vegetarian for 8 years, and then I got pregnant and wanted all the bacon, and now I do eat some meat. But so it's not about the thing that you're adding or eliminating. It's the thing, it's about your relationship with that thing. And there's no way to notice that. It's like an addict saying, oh, I could quit if I wanted to, right? There's no way to notice that unless you start to look at it. Unless you start to say, I'm going to try to have a plant at every meal, which is something I encourage in my Breakthrough program. Within that program, we talk a lot about nourishment, not nutrition, and not dieting. It's like non-dieting, undieting. But one of the things that I welcome them to try, my Breakthrough participants to try from the very beginning, is just having a plant at every meal. And all that does is it makes you think, like what could I add to this meal to make it a little bit more nourishing for my body? And how many processed foods am I taking in per day because I'm telling myself I'm too busy, or because I actually am too busy, or because I love them, right? I did a little poll before this, both on this page and within my Transforming Wellness group, just what is your biggest challenge when it comes to weight? And so many people, it is motivation, and it is trying to find a workout that works for you, but for so many people it's food. And I really think it's because we have a really complicated relationship with food that we don't talk about, and we try to put a Band-Aid on when we say, just clean up your nutrition. If it were that easy, we would all be doing it, right? If it were that easy, then you would weigh what you want. But the thing is that, and you are not alone if you are a person who wants to lose weight or who wants to just feel better in your body. It's a very complex relationship that we have with food. So by deciding that you're going to drink more water, or drink less coffee or wine, or add a plant to every meal, have a 12-hour window between dinner and breakfast, whatever you choose to do, follow a meal plan perhaps that just really looks like it'll feel good to you, and just noticing how you feel about different changes with your food, and how those different foods play into your body and your idea about what you need. That is the first step. And it was after following that 7-day plan that I saw like weight melt off in a weird way that I'd never seen before, and I didn't feel like I was restricting anything, and it wasn't about that food plan. I've given hundreds of people that meal plan now. And one thing is, you've got to follow it to see something happen. But the other thing is the awareness piece within it. Like, I had little mini meditations. There was a little hot water and lemon ritual in the morning. And I honestly think that it's just the awareness that was brought with this meal plan. It wasn't the meal plan itself. So that's another thing. If anyone tells you, just follow this exact diet and you'll get the results you want, maybe. But how are you changing your mindset along the way so that after this meal plan is over, after these 21 or 30 or 60 days are over, what then? Because it is one of the worst feelings in the world to have lost the weight and then to have no plan and to gain it all back plus some. I know because I've done it more times than I can count. So step one of this uncommon path is absolutely awareness through making enough of a change that you can just kind of wake yourself up and say, I'm really addicted to that morning coffee. That's my thing. Like, I feel like I need it all of the time. That's interesting. Without trying to change it right away, just saying, that's interesting. Or at 2 o'clock, I'm always reaching for something sweet. Maybe it's because I'm freaking exhausted. Like, maybe it's because I'm really tired and I need to just go for a walk outside or have some caffeine, or just know that having one piece of chocolate during my afternoon is going to be my thing, and I'm going to stop feeling guilty for it. That can be a big change too. The second thing that I did that I don't know is so conventional, and it was funny because I didn't even realize I was doing this at the time, but I found a workout that I loved, and I had this just little practice, and I've never talked about this before. I've had this little practice of journaling just a little bit before or after my workouts. And what I realized is I feel like my pen, I don't know, the universe, something bigger, guided me into giving myself positive affirmations. And one thing that was helpful is I was running these online groups where we all shared within there. So I think encouraging other people helped me to learn to encourage myself. And then I started doing research, and it is incredible how when you're working out, or when you're just like going for a walk where your breath is in a rhythm, even when you're singing, dancing, just doing something that you like where your breath is in a steady rhythm, bouncing your baby. God, how many months, how many hours and how many months do new moms do that, right? But when you're in that rhythm and whatever you're thinking, it sinks in so much more deeply to your psyche than other times in your day. And that's why in some religions they rock as they're learning languages and as they're learning to read or as they're learning their texts, because when we move and we learn, information sinks in so much deeper. So if you can have just one positive affirmation that you're telling yourself, that you're repeating to yourself over and over as if it is fact, that makes not only working out more enjoyable, but you begin to believe that you have a different posture. You begin to believe that you are worth the time it takes to work out, because goodness knows it's so hard to find time, especially when you take care of other people. And it also helps you to, I would say, push harder in your workouts, and also recognize when you need to back off. And again, let the guilt go about that. To be able to back off and say, oh, I really honored my body. It takes a lot of wisdom and strength to do that. That's what I try to tell every single group of people. I teach I teach about 10 yoga and barre classes a week, and I try to infuse that into every class. Like, sure, it takes a lot of strength to like muscle through this, but if you can also have the wisdom, like play with that border between strength and wisdom to honor your body and do what you need, whether it's to push harder because you're saying you can't, or to back off because your body's saying, hold up. There is far more strength that comes with that sort of wisdom than I think that there is than just pushing through and then suffering the consequences of that later. So, uncommon strategy 1 is following some sort of nourishment plan, just some sort of different plan, just for a short period of time, just so you can gain awareness over your sticking points, over what you might be borderline addicted to. And I say that so gently because I really do have a coffee addiction and I'm not about to let it go. But using that example, I think, can be helpful because, like, one of the things that I've just changed recently is I have a cup of green tea before I have my coffee. And it's beautiful because I realize I just like the ritual of having something hot in my hand and sipping it slowly. It slows down my morning. And then I drink less coffee because it's not the coffee that I was fully addicted to. It's that ritual. But I share that with you because I think there are certain things where hand to mouth can be so comforting. And if we can notice that, like, it's not the chips that I'm in love with, it's this motion. This motion feels comforting. It's the crunchiness in my mouth. We can see what it feels like if we just change, like, instead of having a full bag of chips or whatever, a full bowl or whatever, to having, like, as crazy as it sounds, like maybe some kale chips or maybe some cucumber slices, and just noticing how your body and your energy feel differently when you make those little changes. So follow just something. And you know what? Comment below meal plan if you want that 7-day, I called it my clean and aware wellness plan, nutritional plan, because it was really, I wanted it to be more about awareness than it was about, like, don't cheat, eat this, not that, because we all can get that. It's all over the internet. If you do any Google search on what to eat or diet or weight loss, I mean, you find all these direction things, right? Like linear things. But if you can inject that extra dose of how do I feel when I eat these foods, girlfriend, that changes everything. So just comment below meal plan if you want that meal plan, and I'll send it right to your inbox. That second step is, well, I guess it's a two-parter. Finding a workout that you love and infusing, or just finding some sort of rhythm and movement where you're breathing and you're infusing positive affirmations into your life. You're infusing positive affirmations into that movement, into that rhythmic breath, because that will change your posture. It'll change the way that you feel about yourself. So another tool that I could give you, and maybe I'll post this in the comments below, is just, I have 3 workouts that have, and they're all free, but they have positive affirmations with each of them. So if you needed ideas, that's a great place to go as well. Just to kind of have a framework of how do I create a positive affirmation that speaks to me and doesn't feel completely, totally cheesy, right? We don't want that. And the third piece is, it's hard because all of this feels a little bit abstract, so I want to make it as concrete as possible, but it is continually choosing to act with compassion. And you can do this in a number of different ways, but I think that once I went through this 7-day kind of structure and lost some weight and thought, oh, I feel really good and I feel more energy than usual, and I don't want to go back, right? So instead of stepping into fear and saying, oh my God, I can't eat that cookie because then I'll get fat again or whatever, that all that gross stuff that you tell yourself. Instead, I thought, what will make me feel good? Like, what will make my body feel like I have more energy? What will feel nourishing? What will taste good? All of those things are important, but sometimes when we're really stressed out or we're really tired, we just focus on taste. We just focus on the immediate thing, or we just focus on how quick we can get a workout in, or how we can distract ourselves within a workout, like how much TV we can watch while on the treadmill. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just in that, we're doing the best that we can, right? We do the best that we can with what we have. But if you can instead start to treat yourself with compassion, not just think with compassion, not just the positive affirmations, but do things every day, even if it's just a little bit, to say, oh, I treated myself well today. I nourished my body. I moved. I breathed hard for a little while. I told myself positive things. I went to bed at a decent hour. That's always been very hard for me too. I feel like I get that second wind at night. But being able to think, how will I feel before, during, and after this meal, this workout, this happy hour with friends, this my bedtime routine, all kinds of things, in my relationships, how will I feel before, during, and after? And how can I make slightly different choices, slightly different adjustments so that I'm not just going for instant gratification? And that could mean like eating the thing that looks and tastes great, but knowing it'll give me gut rot later or a sugar crash, sugar hangover later. But it could also mean not going for that quick fix, not just jumping on that person's before and after photo and the program that she is offering because her before and after looks fantastic. Thinking about, if I take on this program, how can I make it part of my lifestyle, rather than just like rushing to fit into the bikini that you want to fit into, or fitting into your skinny jeans by spring break. Instead, how can I make this a lifestyle where I care about myself as much as I care about my children, or as much as I would hope that somebody else could care about me? And I think it's hard because it's so abstract, right? Like, it's not, there's not a way that somebody can prescribe for you to be kinder to yourself. But something that I do truly believe is, if you can choose 1 or 2, maybe 3 things that you're doing every day where you can, at the end of the day, say, I treated myself so well in those moments. I told myself I was grateful for this time to myself, or I didn't listen to the radio in the car. Instead, I just decided to breathe and be really present while I was driving, as crazy as that sounds. Or I did affirmations during my workout, or I freaking worked out and it's been months. Anything that you can do where you can kind of at the end of the day say, wow, these were my moments of compassion and I'm really proud of that. Not, I should have done more, I could have done more, because we have to stop shoulding ourselves. That's one of my favorite things to remember, is I don't need to should myself anymore, but instead to recognize your moments of compassion and to just keep them going, because it doesn't hurt anybody to be kind to yourself. In fact, the science shows, the studies show, that the more compassionate you are with you, the more self-compassion you cultivate, the more that kind of love radiates out of you towards all of the people in your life. Because hurt people, right? So if we can practice kindness and awareness within ourselves, we're going to be able to treat the people around us with so much more grace and empathy and persistent gentleness and fierce compassion. So here's the deal. If you want any of those tools, the meal plan, the affirmations, and if you want some encouragement for compassion, I'm going to give you a couple of tools. So post meal plan if you want that meal plan sent right to your inbox. Otherwise, below I'll post, or I'll just share the 3 workouts, and you can sign up for them for free, and then they're in a program that you can just log into, and you'll have for a lifetime. And the third piece, that part of compassion, that's something that I'm digging into deeper in my private Transforming Wellness Facebook group. So it's a free community. There are a little over 300 women in there, and our mission is just to transform the way we think about wellness, so it's not all about weight loss. And the irony is, when you stop fixating on the weight, when you stop having that narrow focus towards I need to weigh 135 pounds or bust, right? Then you lose the weight. You lose the weight when you stop having that narrow focus and start focusing on how do I want to feel. Because when you live as if you were that person who had already reached the goal and treated yourself like you envision yourself being treated as you're getting there, like on the journey. So you're choosing nourishing foods over processed foods. You're choosing to move your body because you know it gives you more energy. You're choosing to drink the water and to spend time with people you care about and who really fill your cup. And you're choosing to go to bed at a decent hour instead of watching just another episode of Handmaid's Tale or The Romanovs. You're choosing that best life. So if you can begin to live as that person who has lost the weight, who has gained the strength, who has made time for herself, you begin to embody that so much so that you will be shocked at how quickly you actually reach your goals. It's the ironic paradox of this whole thing. So if you would like to join in that community and be part of this wellness revolution where we're shifting the way that we look at ourselves, that we speak to ourselves, and that we speak about ourselves, developing more body confidence, awareness, and deep, deep compassion on the road to hitting the big goals that you want to hit in the new year, like losing weight, like gaining strength, like making time for yourself. So I will post all of those tools below, and we'll be back next week right at this time. Next week is Christmas Eve, isn't it? We'll be back in a couple weeks to continue our Project Light series, and I really would love any input you have on what has been helpful and what you feel, what kind of tools you would like to see more of on this page. And I just really look forward to connecting with you some more. Thank you for being here.